It's about taking that power and control back into your own hands and saying, I advocate for my own health. Like that should be your number one concern, because guess what? Moms can shove it under the rugs all we want, but if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not going to be around very long, or we're not going to be able to really relish and be in the moment later down the road, because we're going to be sick and taking care of ourselves in that aspect, rather than making sure we're healthy right now and happy right now, so that we're around for the long haul, so we could be fully present when our kids are older. We maybe have grandkids, or wherever the road may lead us, we will be fully capable to embrace wherever we are later down the road. So it shouldn't be overwhelming. Life and being healthy should not be overwhelming. And I feel like there's so much going on in our society that just makes it so overwhelming, and it makes everybody scared to approach living healthy. But in reality, it's easier to live healthier than it is to make everything so complicated. And that's what I really want to push for women is, don't be afraid to take care of yourselves. It's okay. It's going to be easier for you. And in the long haul, you'll be so thankful that you did.
Oh my gosh. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynn. I'm Dr. Brooke, and Dr. Lynn is not with us today, but I have a very special guest that I will be introducing to you all in just a minute. Before I do that, I want to remind everybody that the Life After Kids book is available for pre-order at www.lifeafterkids.com/book. You can find it there. You can pre-order it there. And if you pre-order it now, you will also get all the free book bonuses that go along with it, including a 74-page book companion guide that is absolutely free for you and will help you along the way as you read. So go do that. Not now, but after you're done listening, because this guest is awesome and I cannot wait for you to hear all the wisdom that she's going to bring to us today. Her name is Regina Steele. Hi, Regina. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Dr. Brooke. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to join you.
I'm so glad you're here. You guys, this is going to be a great conversation. Regina is a wife to a serial entrepreneur, a mother of 3 highly active teenagers, and she's an integrative coach and has been for the last 4 years. She's also a health blogger for the last 5 years. And now, so exciting, she is an author. So we're going to jump into your new book too. I can't wait to get there, but I want to save that for the end if it's okay with you, because I really want to get to know Regina. And so let's start start with your story from the beginning, right? How did you get involved in the health space and into the blogging world and all? Start from the beginning. Give us a little bit of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's kind of funny because it started before I had health issues, because I kind of was leaning towards being a health nerd, as I like to call myself, when I got pregnant with my first child. And that was 16 years ago. Holy moly. But I started reading every book I possibly could, not necessarily about being pregnant, but about the female body. I was always enamored by anatomy. I came from a dance background, which is interesting. Most people don't know about, but I had to study anatomy in college. And that started kind of kicking my wheels in spinning motion, just becoming very interested in the human physique and how the function of the body works. And then later down the road, after I had 3 kids, pretty much back to back, people always ask if they're Irish twins. They're not. They're about 16 months and 17 months apart.
Wow.
Close, very close to it. But I started having a lot of health issues about 2 years after I had my son. And I had no energy. It was very, very bad energy. I was always fatigued. Emotional status was like a roller coaster. My hair started falling out. I actually lost weight very quickly. I had heart palpitations. My vision was going a little blurry, had hard time sleeping. I had every kind of symptom you could think of that I've heard every mom come to me with, now that I'm a health coach. But back then I had no idea about any of this. And I went to a doctor. They wanted to give me a prescription. And I grew up with a mom who was on a lot of medications. She was what I call a product of the 80s mental institutions. And she was on a lot of experimental drugs with the pharmaceutical companies. And I witnessed that as a child growing up. It scared me to death. So I decided to go an alternate route, and I visited a naturopathic doctor. And that one blew my mind because I sat in her office for an hour and a half talking to her just about my lifestyle, how I lived, how I slept, all the different questions. That really sparked something in me to where I was like, okay, so this is not surface level. There's something beneath that's going on. And that's where she diagnosed me with all sorts of things based off of labs that we did. And that really sparked me to learn more about the root cause of a lot of issues in what's going on in myself. So my cousin knew I was really getting into this, and she fed me a link to an online school called IIN, Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So I studied through that. And of course, one class wasn't enough. So I enrolled in another and another and another. So I just started learning all about gut health, hormone health. I got really intrigued with human life and cellular level just health because, oh my gosh, what was his name? He was one of the best instructors I ever had, but he had this whole presentation on cells and how we all humans came from cells. So I got really into the nerdy part of it. Let's just say that. I became certified only because so many people kept asking me questions because I would start sharing what I was learning. And I started noticing women were coming to me, mainly moms were coming to me asking me questions about how did you heal this? How did you reverse that? How did like, so I would just start sharing with them. I wasn't their coach at that point yet. And it finally clicked that I'm like, I have so many women coming to me asking me for help. Maybe I should get certified and do this just to really start helping them. And then I started building up my own coaching practices, and I really enjoyed the group coaching spaces because I felt like the moms I was helping in the group atmosphere, they started sharing more and opening up more as opposed to one-on-one coaching. So I started with this protocol group, and one of my friends was like, you really need to write a book. She said, do you know how many moms you would help with just putting this information in a book? And I said, really? And then Rick, my husband, was like, you have so many blogs that you've already written. You could write a book out of your blogs. So that's truly what started my engines on writing this book. But that's kind of like the journey of my story of how like one thing flipped over another one and the pages just kept turning, and it's kind of evolved into this whole story of like kind of one mom who felt really sick and decided to take matters back into her own hands because she felt hopeless and she felt like she was part of a broken system that didn't really know how to help her. And I kind of just created this whole kind of embracing community with moms that really persuaded me to try to help out even more moms. So it was just been a fun journey of expanding into something I never even dreamed up that I would possibly enter into with a dance background.
It's That's amazing, really. And I mean, there's so many things we could unpack there. Number one, like, I just want to bring it to anyone's attention who's listening, because most of our listeners in our community are moms with older kids who are searching for like something new or what's next. And we talk about this a lot, but this was happening for you in real time. Your kind of purpose and what you turned your life towards doing came from meeting a need that you had on your own. And I think that's a really important point to put out, because a lot of us like get stuck with like, well, what do I want to do? Like, what direction do I head? And sometimes the answer is right in front of us. And it starts with a need that we meet for ourselves, that we realize, we're moms especially are all a lot more alike than we are different. And so, if there's
Yes.
something that you need that you're fixing for yourself, very often, other moms need that too. We had another guest who was she's a fashion designer, and same thing. She got into it because she was sick of wearing clothes that were either comfortable but frumpy, or they
Yeah.
were not comfortable but they looked cuter, or they didn't fit her body size. And she had like a background in seam, like sewing. She started a
Yes.
company, and it's basically out of her own need and as a hobby. So I think that is amazing, Regina. Like very, very cool. Talk. I want to unpack it a little more, but I don't want to do all the talking. So before I go a little, because there's a lot I want to talk to you about there. But like you mentioned, integrative nutrition. Talk a little more about that, because I think a lot of moms listening probably are wondering what that is. So can you be like give us a little more detail about it?
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of people freak out when I start using scientific terms. So most of the time when I'm relating with somebody, I use basic day-to-day conversation talk. Integrative doesn't really pop up in my practice a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
but what does pop up is whole foods. Integrative practices are truly just things that you can put your hands on without any kind of medical professional having to write up a prescription or anything. But it's really anything that you can access on your own and you can integrate it. You can actually put it into your daily practices. So I learn a lot about alternative and natural and holistic practices, which sounds like a mouthful, but it's really basic foundational health for everyone. And I really do it, I hone it in for moms, especially because we're pretty good at neglecting ourselves. I mean, if we really look at the full picture, we're like when our kids are toddlers, we're basically grabbing food off of their plate to eat, things like that. And it's really just going back to basics, finding the easy, basic foundational health for every human and saying, okay, this is how we're going to integrate, AKA, we're going to place these into our health practices every day. So it's nothing scary and it's really not complicated. We live in a society that really loves to overcomplicate things and overwhelm us with
Mm-hmm.
terms and, you know, let's go on a diet, let's go this, and there's so many trends out there right now. And like one of the biggest things I would say for moms that we deal with a lot is stress.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we have a really off relationship with stress. It's not necessarily a good one, it's not necessarily a bad one, it's just misunderstood. And I was having a conversation on Tuesday with somebody because they were like, how can I get help with stress? Like, how do I get rid of stress? And it's like, you don't get rid of stress. Stress is a daily thing that we live with. But what I do with my practice is I integrate ways, I guide people into ways of how you can either lower the stress levels, mitigate the stress level, or have a better relationship with stress because stress is never, it's not always a bad thing. It's a good thing. So you have to first learn how to approach that relationship, whether it be with stress, food, whatever the case may be. You have to get a better relationship with that idea in your head. And then you have to learn the proper tools for you to use because everybody is their own individual, right? So
Mm-hmm.
no two of us are going to have the same identical tools that we're going to use to either lower stress, eat better for our own nutritional needs. So we have to figure out for ourselves what really works for us. And that's kind of where I jump in as an integrative coach because there are so many different facets that you can go, right? But it's really about tweaking and experimenting and finding what works for you. So that's kind of what it's a long way of explaining what integrative health does, but
I love it. So it's a very whole body and whole food approach to you could take to approach to your health alongside anything else you're doing, basically. Yeah, which
yeah,
is
and
great. Go
yeah,
ahead.
because it's like a lot of our conventional medicine is fantastic. It serves its purpose, but the problem with conventional medicine is it breaks you down and it breaks up the body into parts. So, if you have a head issue, like people focus on the head, if you get headaches, migraines, but it's not necessarily coming from your head. It could be maybe you're eating something that's triggering something. So it's a whole body
Mm,
approach. And the other thing I do want to say, like we were mentioning, like you talk to a lot of moms who like kids are older and out of the house. Postpartum doesn't stop. Postpartum is part of our lives forever. I mean, our bodies are like, I am, what is it, 13 years now removed from having a child. I'm still healing my body
Mhm.
from going through a very traumatic event in my body. So we're constantly evolving, and women especially, we go through so many different hormone changes throughout our bodies. I was joking with my husband the other night because I'm like, you know what's crazy? You men truly only have to worry about one hormone. Do you know how many hormones women have to worry about?
And not only that, but there many of them are like going like this. It's not just like do 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 like a man's their testosterone is la 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 la. We're like up here, down here, depending on the day,
Yep.
what time of the month, and what's like it. No wonder half of us are like, what's going on? I agree. Like it's crazy. And I think like this is a really important thing that you're talking. There's two important things that I want to note here. Number one, you mentioned like um traditional medicine, which I agree with you wholeheartedly. Thank goodness we have it. Thank goodness we have the research, the
Yep.
technology, and it's there when we need it. I look at it more though as sick care and emergency care. And I think
Yes.
we're really at a point, which I am so grateful for, that we're tired of just being told, and just take this medication, or like you'll be fine. It's just a part of life. Suck it up. It's no, it's this, it's that. And I think we're finally pushing back enough to say, wait a minute, no, that's not the answer. Something is not right in my body. And I want to encourage anybody that's listening that nobody knows your body better than you do, and nobody
Right.
is going to advocate for your health like you will. And so it's really important, like if you're not getting the answers that you want, to seek out and find. You deserve it. Your body deserves it. Your health deserves it. The way you age deserves it. And I'm
Yes.
just, listen, I have very similar story to you. We should get together sometime off
Yeah.
interview, because I, after my first son and second son, I fell apart, but I took a different route. I just kind of shoved it under the, like
Yeah.
I got into a lot of nutritional work at that time too. Same thing. I went to a sem because I have a chiropractic degree, so I was doing continuing ed. I went to nutritional classes, and my mind was blown. So I started digging deeper and deeper. But also, you're in the throes of motherhood, and I just kind of pushed it.
Yep.
And guess what? It doesn't go away. And if you think
Mm-mm.
it's going to get better once your kids are older, it usually gets worse. It's like bigger kids,
Yes.
bigger problems, bigger stresses. And so I love that you're bringing this to moms, and I hope there's more moms that are younger, and younger kids that can work on it now and not wait
Yes.
until the kids get older, and then you hit perimenopause and then shit really hits the
Right.
fan. you
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. And working with women, a lot of women don't, because they're scared it's going to overwhelm them even more because they're already overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But that's why I try to push it so hard that it's really not complicated. What the work I do is way less complicated than all the trends and everything you're going to find. And I honestly try to shoo people away from social media influencers as much as possible, because it really is, like you said, it's about taking that power and control back into your own hands and saying, I advocate for my own health. Like that should be your number one concern, because guess what? Moms can shove it under the rugs all we want, but if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not going to be around very long, or we're not going to be able to really relish and be in the moment later down the road, because we're going to be sick and taking care of ourselves in that aspect, rather than making sure we're healthy right now and happy right now, so that we're around for the long haul, so we could be fully present when our kids are older. We maybe have grandkids, or wherever the road may lead us, we will be fully capable to embrace wherever we are later down the road. So it shouldn't be overwhelming. Life and being healthy should not be overwhelming. And I feel like there's so much going on in our society that just makes it so overwhelming, and it makes everybody scared to approach living healthy. But in reality, it's easier to live healthier than it is to make everything so complicated. And that's what I really want to push for women is, don't be afraid to take care of yourselves. It's okay. It's going to be easier for you. And in the long haul, you'll be so thankful that you did.
Oh my gosh, it is such an important message. And I think here's the thing that I have talked to my patients about from day one, and I remind myself that, and I'm sure you will agree that if you're having any type of a symptom in your body, a symptom is your body's warning signal that there's something going
Yes.
on that you need to address. And so it could be a big symptom, but it could be something small. And it's all relative. So I don't want to say something small because small things can be big things. It just depends on the
Yeah.
person. But like if you don't sleep well, if you have like headaches, if you constipation, like if your energy is not where, whatever it is, and you're just pushing it off and saying, it's not that big of a deal. It's common, so it must be normal. It's
Yep.
like, don't no, because guess what? That symptom that there now is likely not going to go away on its own 10, 20 years down the road. And probably it's going to be worse because you didn't address the underlying factor, right? And if you want to live
Right.
really healthy and thrive down the road, you need to like, not that we need to obsess and stress over every little thing, but to your point, very simple things that you can do with your life and your lifestyle. It's usually the simple, small things that make the biggest
Yep.
difference.
Absolutely. And it is interesting because so many people are just like, well, what's the latest gadget I should get? Or they're always asking about like the new, injections, whatever. And they're like, well, what can I start now that will make a difference? And I always look at them and say, look, every day you're learning from wherever you're going to a movie, you're exposing yourself to information. But what most people don't ever slow down enough to realize is you're the most important subject matter you're ever going to study in your entire life. And we don't take enough time to study ourselves. So the most powerful tool anyone can get is you can go to the dollar store for all I care. I don't care. Get a notebook, grab a pen, and start taking notes. What are you eating every day? How are your sleep habits? You don't need a special planner. You just need a notebook and you need to write it out and just track yourself for about a week or 2 weeks at the longest. And then look back at that and be like, I had a stomach ache on this day, or I had a migraine on this day. And look back the last 2 days before that and say, that's really interesting because you will start to see a pattern. The longer you track yourself, you will see patterns and you will be able to identify those patterns and you will be able to say, okay, so if I just make this small shift, like you said, there's small lifestyle shifts that you can make. Just that little shift, you'll start to see a difference in 2 weeks. Sometimes it can take up to 6 weeks to start seeing a difference, but it's like all it takes is that little bit of studying about on your own body, your own habits, and you'll start to realize like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I would have never brought this up to a doctor because I didn't even see this, right? So it's
Sure.
like it's really about studying yourself.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I think if correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're talking about there is like you're keeping a journal of what you're doing day to day and how it matches up with symptoms. And what you might find is like, oh, when I eat this particular food,
Yep,
I end up sleeping bad, or I end up with heartburn, or I end up with a headache, or when I don't know, I think it could even be, well, when I have something come up with this person, I end up with
yeah,
a migraine. Like that could be a wide range of things, but basically what you're looking for there, I think, is like triggers that you start to see a
yep.
pattern with, right? That you can kind of, if possible, remove from the situation or out of your diet or whatever that looks like, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes along with the stress factor because a lot of like moms I talk to, they're always bringing up stress. And it's like, yeah, if you're not identifying the trigger pattern, it's literally, you're never going to be able to get that better relationship with stress. So I mean, yeah, you can easily say, my kids stress me out. Okay, well, I mean, is it a habit? Is it a behavior? Like, what is it? You have to take the detailed notes and make sure because I mean, think about all the subjects we've studied in school. Like, if we were given a test without even writing down notes or even learning about that subject matter, we wouldn't know how to answer the questions, right? So it's like, how are you supposed to figure out what's going on inside your body if you're not taking notes, if you're not taking the time to figure out the little details? Like, how are you supposed to figure out how you're going to find the result for that? So I always like try to just tell people like, okay, well, what's the pattern? And it's like trying to tell my kids that is kind of ridiculous. Kids are hard to break through to. But eventually, if you like, if you're telling people enough, like, okay, take notes, study yourself, eventually it'll stick and people will do that. So,
Oh my gosh, that's so good. And honestly, that's something I'm going to adopt over the next couple weeks. In our book, I have a whole chapter on stress management, and one of the things I talk about in there is journaling, but not from that perspective. You can journal in
mm-hmm.
so many different ways. But I think that's so smart because back to what I said at the start, nobody knows your body better than you. But
Yep,
sometimes most times we don't pay enough attention to it and to what we're
right.
doing to it that's causing certain things. So taking the time to do that every day, I imagine is a very powerful tool. I'm so glad that you shared that with everyone because what a great way to get started, you know?
Yeah.
I had a friend once years ago. She told me that she suffered from, it's not this simple for everyone, right? But in her case, she suffered from really bad migraines, like debilitating migraines, where she couldn't go to work and whatever. And she started a similar thing to kind of look at what she was eating and what was related. And come to find out, she had a serious allergy to corn. And she
Huh.
noted that every time she ate anything that had corn in it or corn itself, she ended up with this headache. And she removed corn from her diet and has literally not had a migraine since.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, it doesn't happen like that for everyone. Case in point, I deal with headaches and migraines, and I'm constantly picking that apart. So that, I don't want anyone to feel bad that deals with migraines and they're listening going, it's
Right.
not that easy. But it's just a simple, I think, kind of example of what you can find,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And the nice part about it is it won't hurt you. Like a lot of people are kind of scared when we speak of integrative health and they're like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm on prescriptions, blah blah blah." It's like the great part about what I hand over to people, the tools that I give to people is they don't come with negative side effects.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes you might find that what you are already doing is what's inflicting the harm. So, what I can help people do, and what you can do on your own, really, you don't really need a coach to do any of this, is remove what you feel is harming you.
Mm.
It's as simple as like not being around an abusive person. Remove yourself from that situation. It's people have that abusive relationship with food, with stress, with lack of exercise, with not being in nature, not taking breaks. Like there's so many bad relationships you can talk about, but it is really just about removing yourself from a harmful situation sometimes. And if you don't know what that harmful situation, it's really just about taking that time, noting some patterns, finding that pattern, and just trying to switch it up. Like just switch it up. It won't hurt. It's just an experiment. And you might actually find that there's a positive result out of it.
Yeah. That's so good. I was having a conversation the other day because I'm the stress is probably, I mean, if you look at research, honestly, stress is, I won't say it's the cause of all disease, but it because it's a starting point of so many different health related things in our body. You could look at it like stress being the number one issue with a lot of the things that are number one killers for us, including heart
Yeah,
disease, right? I mean, it's just if our body is not able to adapt because of the stress it's under, it's the first stage to leading to more issues, especially if it's chronic stress, right? And
right.
so I'm so glad that you bring that up, and especially moms, like you're to your point, like we just put everybody else's needs constantly before our own, and we burn the candle at both ends. We don't sleep the way we should, and then when they get the kids get older enough for us to be able to sleep, then we're up worrying about them and where they are and what they're
Right.
doing, and like it just never stops. But I was talking with another health professional the other day, and her perspective, I love this perspective, and I'm sure you would agree, was like, listen, you can't live in a stress free bubble. As much as we would like to just like, well, if I remove all the stress,
Right.
then life will be good again. And that's not life. Like life is stressful, especially as a mom. You're never going to like control your kids the way you want to. You would never, they're going to make stupid decisions. You're good. Like
Right.
there's so many things out of our control. And really, if you're not, if you're not experiencing any stress in your life, you maybe are not growing as a person because you have to have some challenges and some stress
Right.
in life to grow, correct? So it's like, what if you can change the perspective to like, I'm just so there's just so much stress in my life. that I can't find a way to heal. I can't find a way to get better, and look at it more like, okay, I'm not getting away from this stress, but how can I use it as an opportunity to adopt really good and healthy skills to
Right.
manage the stress that's going on?
Yeah. And it was so interesting. Somebody had sent me this video the other day. I thought it was phenomenal. This professor was in front of a class. I'm assuming it was a psych class, but he poured a glass of water in front of the kids and he asked all the students, how much water am I holding in this cup? And everybody started throwing out numbers, 12 ounces, 16 ounces. And he said, now, it really doesn't matter how much water is in this cup. What really matters is how long I hold it. And he was talking about, if I hold it for a moment, I'll be fine. My arm will be fine. If I hold on to it for an hour, I'll probably start to feel sore. You'll see my arm start to shake. Now, if I hold this all day, my arm will go numb. And he was comparing it to stress. And he was saying, it doesn't matter how much your stress load is. To someone else, it doesn't look like a lot. But to you, if you hold on to it for a short amount of time and you learn how to adapt that stress into some sort of a positive energy that you could use, you'll be fine. But if you hold on to it for so long, it'll start to make you numb. And I thought it was the best analogy because it's truly what stress makes our bodies do. It makes our bodies go numb. We become so inflamed that we can't even properly function. We just become numbed out. And, if we get so numbed out, we kind of jump to a point to where we're like, okay, I need a prescription to try to make me feel happy because all I feel is numb. That's just masking the issue in and of itself. We really have to try to figure out how to approach that stress. Let's adapt that stress. Let's learn how to put the cup down once in a while and walk away from it once in a while. If you have to go back to it, only pick it up for a little bit, but put it down. And it's, to me, it's really learning what are those triggers of stress and how to adapt with those triggers of stress to make them turn into positive energy. Because it's just like working out. Like, to build muscle, if you're trying to build muscle and get stronger, your body has to undergo stress, right? You got to tear those muscles. You got to, tweak them. You got to, they're going to bulge. You're going to feel sore. Like, stress is good. A lot of times stress is great. That's what makes you stronger. That's what makes you adapt your everything. So, don't ever feel like stress is so bad. And that's why I always say, like, the relationship we have with stress is in such a negative space right now. I feel like so many people need to start reapproaching stress with more of a positive outlook. Like, I'm so glad I get to stress out because I have kids. Like, I'm grateful that I have kids to stress about, right? I know so many women that struggle to have babies. So it's like, I'm grateful I get this stress. And you have to almost add in gratitude in order to replace that stress, that negative space of stress, with something in a more positive light. So I think just recreating that relationship people have with stress will truly help women stop feeling that overwhelm and dread of, like, I can't wake up anymore today because I can't. I'm so stressed out. I can't do this. And it's really about, I even told somebody the other day, like, it's not just meditating and going on these retreats, because guess what? You're going to come back to stress no matter what.
That's right.
So they're not going to solve your problem. What will solve your problem is learning how to take deep breaths. I mean, it's as simple as breathing, but also finding the right kind of support system around you. I feel like another problem a lot of women and moms have, especially, is delegating, even to your spouse, just being like, hey, do you think you could go pick up the kids today so I could finish this? Or that way you're not overwhelming your plate. And I feel like so many people are they just feel like they're burdening others rather than just, you're actually taking away a privilege for them to feel like they're helping you. So you're kind of harming both people there. So it's like, don't be afraid to ask your spouse for help. Find that support system that you can delegate all that stress to. Well, not all of it, but like some of it, so it's kind of a shared stress. It makes it a little more enjoyable at that point.
Yeah, I think we as moms can try to be martyrs, and it's so silly
Yep.
because we don't have to do that. And I also think we can fall in the trap of I'm definitely guilty of this. My husband and I have talked about this, and we really work on it because I go from like doing all the things, getting absolutely exhausted and burnt out, and then yelling of like, why don't you help? And he's like, well, I can't read your like I want him to
Yeah.
just know that he should offer to help. And he's like, well, like I can't read your mind. If you would ask, like all you need to do is ask, and I'm happy to help. But like, and I'm over here mad because he
Yep.
should know, he should see me stressed out and struggling, and why isn't he offering? Where it's like, just like come off your high horse, Brooke, get rid of your pride, and like
Yeah.
ask. Like all you got to do is say, hey, like I'm really swamped in here, can you whatever? And he's happy to do it. Like I honestly, in his defense, never get pushback on it. But so, anyone else, I'm sure other women can relate. I hope I'm not the only
Oh
one. So
yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
it's an important thing to don't hesitate to ask. And I think you that analogy with the water cup struck me too, because it's like sometimes like just put it down, even if it's
Yep.
for a little bit. I think that's another thing we do as moms is like we always have a to-do list, and we always feel like we have to be doing something. We can't let things go. In the last couple months, I have a day of the week where I'm like Sunday that I'm like, nope, I'm not like,
Yep.
I'll do like kid stuff or fun that like whatever. Maybe we'll go to dinner, there's a sport event or whatever it is, but like I'm not doing anything else. I'm not doing
Yep.
like laundry. I'm not doing dishes. I'm probably not going to cook. Fend for yourself
Yep.
or we'll figure it out. Like, and guess what? Everything that needed to be done, nothing bad happened. It's there the next day and it's fine. Like, but
Yeah.
I don't think we give ourselves enough of a cushion to just take a break already. Like, it's okay to like sit down on the couch and binge watch some TV or whatever, read a good book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it is so funny because I completely relate to that very much so because I mean we have teenagers now, so getting them to do their own things is a struggle, as most moms with older kids realize. But it's like building that support system to where you feel like you can take those breaks. I mean, I grew up in a multi-generational house. So I live with my grandparents and my parents and all my there were six of us kids. So God bless my grandparents, but they loved it. Like my grandparents, as far as I know, they loved it. But it was
They're
like,
stressed
you
out every
know,
night going to bed.
and it was like, it was great because we had the multi generations in there. Everyone was helping each other. Like we were all in the kitchen together on Sundays, like grating the cheese, food prepping for the month, like all the things. Like we would do things together. And that support system truly helped my mom because my mom had a lot of mental illness from stemming back from having all six of us kids. And it was just, it took a toll on her body. But it was like, if she didn't have that support of my grandparents we were living with, who knows where she would have ended up. And
Mhm.
that to me was the biggest example of why you need that village. You need that support system. And it doesn't have to necessarily come from your spouse, because guess what? Like, I have had to pull back my reins because I'm like, oh, wait, he's got so much stuff going on. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I need to direct my delegation to someone else at this point. So just recognizing how much stress your spouse is under to where you can turn to somebody else. Go ask the grandparents for help. They love helping with the
Mhm.
grandkids. Like, otherwise, you wouldn't exist, right? So it's like,
Right.
go ask the grandparents. Or sometimes there are so many fun neighbors around that you don't even realize how much they want to help until you ask.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we have two amazing neighbors here. Their kids are fully grown and out of the house. My son, who's 12, will still go over with his buddies to play football with we call him the grandpa of the neighborhood. He loves it. He loves it. Like the wife even has a basket full of snacks for those kids in her pantry because the kids will just wander. I mean, you have no idea what your support system is in villages until you ask. So you have to build that village with
Mhm.
everyone and anyone around you. Give yourself that break. It's great. It's okay. The world will still spin if you take a break.
Yeah. And I just want to say like I'm so glad you just shared that story cuz I'm thinking about the moms listening here that are like their kids are out of the house. some of them still, like, we're on the edge. Some of them are almost empty nesters. A lot of them are empty nesters and really missing their kids. And I hope if you're listening and that's you, you heard what Regina just said. Because if you're missing your kids, get involved in the neighborhood. I love, like,
Yes.
what a great idea to have
Yes.
the snack bag for the kids. Go out and, whatever. And the fact that you have a 12-year-old that still wants to do that speaks
Yeah.
volumes to, like, the kids enjoy that too. It's a win-win for everyone. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that, to your point, that need, connection and community, right, is and
Yes.
there's Harvard research out about it now, about how important it is, not just for our happiness but our physical health and longevity. So that
Oh,
applies to everyone.
absolutely. Oh, for sure. And it's like you see, if you witness, I mean, if you have your own parents still alive and they are super healthy and they're constantly around your kids, you get to see that firsthand.
Mhm.
I mean, you can go ahead and research all the blue zones you want to. Like, you'll find the same exact thing. Like, the grandparents and the great grandparents are the ones raising the kids. They're the ones out in the garden showing kids all life skills. They're still using their mental capacity. Like, they are not retiring and just sitting on a couch, which sadly is what a lot of people in America do. And it's like,
Mm.
get out, go do things with the kids, use your skills that you're so good at, and go into the neighborhood, go into the local school. Like, I know a lot of people, like some of my relatives who are retired and well into their 70s, they still go around to different schools in our city and they'll try to help out with different programs. I mean, there are so many ways you can actually still be involved with kids, which, I mean, if you are retired and you're like, okay, my kids are grown, they're out of the house, I'm still looking for stuff to do. Maybe you're not at retirement level yet, but you still want to be. I would always encourage people to go do something with kids
Mm.
because they're still so imaginative and they use so much creative space in their minds that it does keep you young, but it keeps your brain fresh. It keeps you thinking. And honestly, I mean, how many times do your kids ask you questions where you're like, you know what? I don't know. And then you have to go figure out the answer. So it's like, I think it's the best thing in the world. Like, I love our neighbors. They're phenomenal people because I mean, they've told us so many times too, like, oh, just send your kids over. Like, if you guys have to go out, like, it's great. It's fantastic. They're built in next door grandparents, right?
Mhm.
So
It's
it's
amazing.
like, yeah,
Especially for the moms, remember, if you're in the stage life where your kids are out and you're looking for something else, you're not only serving a purpose for you but for that mom who is frazzled, that's in the thick of it. What a gift to her as well. And I think you mentioning, like, the schools and how the school systems are in need of more volunteers
yes.
and help. It's just, I think most places would welcome that. Our high school has a thing. It's kind of cool. It's called Seekers and Sages, and the kids, every sophomore, has to go through the program, and basically they bring, seniors in from the community to work with these kids, and they meet with them periodically through the year. The kids have to interview them, spend time with them, and get to know them and what their life was like, what their history is like, and then they write a report and a paper about it and they all present it. So it's kind
Oh,
of a really neat
wow.
connection. I mean, most women listening are probably not quite to that stage yet, but to all that to say, like, there are ways that we may not even realize to get involved and continue to give back to children. If that's your thing, that's the moms that are really struggling, I think, in this life after kids community, are the moms that was, I mean, as moms, our kids are our whole world, but really, like, they're caretakers at heart, right? They're probably
Right.
an Enneagram too, and that was what brought them the most joy out of anything they did. And now they're looking for, like, oh my gosh, how do I fill that hole? Well, there's a lot of different ways you can
Yeah.
fill it. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And not only that, but even if maybe you say, I don't know what I'm really good at, I don't know what my skills are, volunteering can absolutely bring out what you're going to be passionate about. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be what you were passionate about in the past. It could just spark something new in you to where you're like,
Hmm.
wow, I love doing this. Like, I even, just as an example, my daughter's in theater and she does a lot of the youth theaters around the valley. They always look for volunteers. So there's another one if you're looking for an idea. But as parents for a child who's in the theater, you're supposed to they're required 10 hours of volunteer before the show. So I was like, well, I mean, I used to paint sets and stuff in high school. Maybe I'll go do that. And I absolutely love it. Like I find it therapeutic almost when I
Mm,
get to go do that stuff. So it's like you never know what's going to actually kind of help your stress levels too. And it is not just about finding your passion, it's therapy. It truly is an
yeah.
outlet for you to just use that creative spark in your body. Like I even know of so many schools, there's even private schools, Montessori schools, to where,
Mhm.
your kids may not even have gone to that school, but they're looking for volunteers. And even at Montessori schools are really fun too, because they're always looking for gardeners and
Yeah.
artists and painters. So I always find it fun when you don't even know what you're good at and you just go and volunteer somewhere. You're like, oh,
Really like this.
okay, I
Mhm.
like this.
Yeah, I think you touched on three really important points there. Number one, sometimes you don't know what you like until you try. You just have to try something. That's one. Number two, think of things that you loved to do when you were younger. Like you used to paint sets and you enjoyed it. And maybe you can get back to
Yep,
that. And then number three, having a creative outlet, whatever that looks like, is huge for emotional balance and stress management. It just
big time.
in some ways it can be almost meditative if you're by yourself and it's causing you to just focus in on what you're doing right in front of you and be really present. It's an act of mindfulness, right? Where you're there and you're doing
Yep,
that and everything else is kind of all those stress things that we're talking about that fill that water cup are kind of away for. It's like you're putting it down for a minute.
yep, exactly. Yeah,
So,
it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, volunteering, there's a lot of power in volunteering.
yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Tell me, so what, and maybe you've already hit on this, but on your own health journey, and you've had quite a ride, it sounds like, what was the biggest surprise for you?
Oh, well, my biggest surprise was getting all my lab results back.
Oh, interesting.
Well, of course, when I first got my very first round of lab results, I was like, what is all of this? I don't even know
Mm-hmm.
what this is. There's a bunch of numbers, but it was a beautiful moment though because I felt validation that there was actually something wrong. Like it wasn't in my head as I was
Mm-hmm.
told. I had hypothyroid, Hashimoto's, H. pylori. My stomach acidity level was like at an all-time low, which made a lot of sense as to why I couldn't digest certain foods. I had SIBO, Candida. I had the full 9 yards of everything you could
Mm-hmm.
possibly imagine in the gut. But the most rewarding thing was that the naturopath that did all these tests did not give me any prescriptions and she did not load me up with supplements. She truly switched up my diet and then she had me go get massages.
Wow.
And that I she was like, we're gonna give this 6 months. Let's just switch up your diet. You're already great at exercising, make sure you're getting outside, like very basic things, which is what I really truly stick to still. um and within about 6 weeks, I think 8 weeks, I started to feel better. My energy levels were better. I actually, as much as people don't want to talk about this, but I was going to the bathroom regularly. I have normal bowel movements
Mm-hmm.
finally, which I know so many moms struggle with and
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to talk about. But bowel movements are a huge indicator of gut health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just that was probably the most shocking to me was the list of issues I had and how simple it was to just start turning the page to a more positive way of living.
Yeah.
Like I think that was the biggest shock to me was how simple it was and how I had the control of doing that. So that to me was probably what sparked my most biggest interest in just doing what I do now. But I think working with other women too and seeing their surprise as to how simple it is, I love that for them. Like
Mm.
I absolutely love seeing that because so many people they don't want to be on prescriptions. They don't want to be on a ton of supplements for their whole lives. And it's expensive. It costs a lot of money. And it's like for people to realize, just like I did, that it's really basic.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. Like that to me is the best and the biggest surprise when I first started, and still to this day, it shocks me.
I that is so good, and and that's so against the grain of I think what we see mainstream on social media and are hearing and listening to, because there's like there's a tool or a tip or a supplement or a gadget for everything. And to your point, I think that's the really cool thing that we have to remember, the ability of the human body to adapt and heal and be well when it's treated properly. And it doesn't take much to treat it properly. A lot of that
Right.
is stress management, sunlight, clean water,
Yep.
clean air, and really good healthy food. And it's amazing. And by the way, that can happen at any time. Like, don't think you're in your 50s or 60s or whatever, you're
Yeah.
listening to this going, oh, well, it's too late for me, my body can't do that anymore.
Nope.
No, that is not the case. The body's always capable of healing. It's that was one of the things. I mean, I was raised, my dad was a chiropractor, so I was really raised with a different perspective, like the perspective of the body can take care of itself. You always look to the cause, not the symptom, that sort of thing. So that's what led me to get into healthcare, is that the power of the human body to heal itself and be well
Yes.
when all of the junk is removed from it is really quite remarkable. So
Yeah.
thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. Well, and that's truly like, we don't really respect our bodies with how magical they are. I think that's what kind of got me triggered into it when I got pregnant, and then just discovering cells and how they work, and when we're conceived, how that whole function works. And we are so alien, it's crazy. Like, when you
Mm,
think about it as a whole perspective, just the amount of systems, the amount of functionality, the idea that we can just close our eyes and go to sleep, and our body does a whole restoration process without us even doing anything. That's pretty remarkable. And, a lot of people don't really want to look at sleep as like such a great, powerful thing, but wow, is sleep so powerful. And that's probably one of the first things I try to knock out with moms, especially because we're pretty sleep deprived. But the fact that we don't give our bodies time to do the processes that it's supposed to do,
mm,
it just naturally does. We really just need to start slowing down, is the whole idea, and go back to basics. That's the
mm.
simplicity of it, is our bodies will do what it's supposed to do if you allow it to. But we live in such a fast-paced society, a fast-paced world, that we really don't take the time to allow our bodies to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's so true. I want to talk about the book, but before we get there, one more question. I love this question. I didn't write it. So I'm not tooting my own horn. But what is one myth about motherhood and health that you wish could be burned to the ground today?
Oh yeah, that one is that would have to be the perfect mom myth. The perfect mom myth is my all-time favorite. I can't tell you how many moms have tried to, peruse that statement on me when I'm working with them, is I just want to be the perfect mom.
Mm,
And it's like, ouch. That's got to feel like a dagger to any mom that says that, because there is no definition
yeah.
that even precedes the perfect mom. Like that, it's a false statement, and it doesn't exist. Now, a nurturing mom is a beautiful thing. A healthy mom is a
Mm,
beautiful thing. But a perfect mom, there's no perfect human.
mm,
So the fact that we encompass this idea of the perfect mom, she does everything, she looks fantastic, she provides perfect meals every day. She's like, we call it the Pinterest mom, right? Like, it's the perfect Pinterest mom. And it's like, it doesn't exist, because even the people that looked perfect on social media, they have teams of people that are doing those things for them to make them look perfect. And I think that's kind of what shrouds so many moms, and it kind of degrades us, really, because it kind of dims the light that we could be providing our families with if we were just allowed to be ourselves. And, so many of us strive to be a perfect mom that we forget to be ourselves. We are a person, first of all.
mm.
We're not just a mom, we're not just a wife, we're a person. We are a human, we are a woman, and we have our own identity. So when we strive to be a perfect mom, that kind of deteriorates who we are. And it does dim a light. And it's so fun working with moms who start with that statement, I just want to be a perfect mom, And then they actually discover who they are underneath all the layers of the titles that they're given, not just by, you know, our society, but by themselves. They give these titles to themselves. But when they start to really peel off those layers and discover who they are underneath, it's awesome because then they become the perfect mom for their family, right? Because they're themselves. So, yeah, the perfect mom myth is that's definitely one we need to ditch. We need to drop that out of the hat.
You are not kidding. I mean, I think an ideal like that, it's an ideal for a reason because it's not attainable, and yet we think it is. And we're constantly trying to stretch for something that you can't attain. You're always going to feel just a little bit miserable. And I also think a big piece to that is like comparison is the thief of all joy. And we constantly, not only trying to be the perfect mom, but also compare ourselves to what mom down the street is doing or our mom friends are doing. And it's like you're not them. They're not living your life. You
Yeah,
don't see what's going on behind closed doors. So like stop doing that. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is who you were yesterday, right? Not the other moms
right.
around you. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that's such yeah, go ahead.
And sadly, that's kind of why like the health and wellness industry and the cosmetic industry are multi-billion dollar industries because they feed off of our vulnerabilities of the comparison mode of moms because especially the cosmetic industry.
Mm,
Oh my
don't get me
Lanta, like
started.
the millions of dollars women spend on surgeries and everything I mean, I think I read an article the other day about how much money Kim Kardashian has spent on being a perfect body. I'm like, what? Like, and then it kind of grosses me out when you know the science behind it and you're like, not to get morbid, but it's like, wow, if you start to decay and somebody goes back to find your body, like take your body out of the casket, like all they're gonna see is like possible dust and filler on top of
Oh,
it. Like
gross.
I'm like, because it doesn't decompose, and you're just like, that's so gross. Like,
I didn't know that. Oh,
oh yeah, like it's kind of nasty. And it's like, it was funny because I had my plastic surgeon, so I had my story was so weird. I got implants because I got a reduction because I had been so big my whole life. I had so many back issues. The original surgeon I went into, I was 30 at the time. He persuaded me to get implants in order to have a lifted look. And I was like, okay, whatever. So that also led to a lot of my health issues. So about last year, actually, I went in, met this other amazing, he's a holistic approach surgeon. And he he was telling me all about these, like the difference of Botox and filler. And I started learning things off of his podcast. And I'm just like, that's so disgusting. Like, ew. I'm like, please get these out of me as soon as you possibly can. Like, it's so gross.
yeah. I guess I didn't ever think about that. I've not dabbled. I say like I don't do anything like that. I'm kind of just like doing things naturally, which no judgment on anyone. I think everyone should be free to do what they think is best. So I wouldn't judge, but like I didn't know that. But also then think about if it's going to sit there in the grave, like it's sitting in your body the whole time you're alive too. That
Yep. That's
that
the
feels
gross
a
part,
little
too.
yeah. And to your point too with the implants, like so I know so many people, so many women who are having them removed because they led to health issues.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of them do. I mean, you're putting a foreign object in your body, it's going to trigger inflammation at
sure.
even a minimal level. I mean, I know a lot of women that are like, oh, it didn't do anything, it didn't trigger anything, but then they start talking about how they have thyroid issues and things. I'm like, so it did trigger something. It's like,
Yeah, you just wouldn't connect it. Yeah. I mean, we could
right.
have a whole nother episode talking about my goodness, those types of things for sure. Let's talk about your book,
Yay!
which is I mean, this is a really important thing. I'm so excited. Tell us the name of it. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right. So I don't know if I can actually say the full title. I'll just say the condensed version, Mother Effed.
I was going to introduce it, but I was like, how do I say that? Because I don't want to say
I
the F
know.
word.
I'm like, I got to be careful on podcasts and things so I don't get like, taken down. But It's Mother F, and it's the Anti-Perfectionist Guide to Surviving and Thriving in the Chaos of Modern Motherhood. And it's funny because so many people are like, how did you come up with the title? Truth be told, I have to give credit to my husband. He came up with the idea for the title because he was like, no, think about it. It's kind of what you are. Like, because of all of the craziness in our society of like what is expected of moms and the overwhelming process of being a mother, becoming a mother is even stressful. So that's where the title came from. But I also love the title because it draws attention to a subject matter that is very much neglected, which is there is barely any research done on mothers.
Mm.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
there is no research done on moms. You cannot find that many studies that actually explain why mothers are the highest demographic that's diagnosed with chronic illnesses, autoimmune conditions. There are no studies. There's hardly any. I mean, they're starting to peak on research and studies for mothers in particular, but most studies in health are conducted on male subjects between the ages of 25 and I think they bumped it up to 45. But it you can't really see like, okay, so how do prescription drugs work on moms that have had babies? Like how does that reaction happen? Because we have different hormones, we have different chemicals going on in our body, there's different triggers that are happening in our bodies. And that's the hardest part about doing what I do because there's not a lot of research around it. I mean, there are people dabbling in it, but that's why I really wanted to draw attention to this book with the title, because I want people to become aware of the fact that it may seem hopeless because there's no research, but there's actually a lot of assistance you can find in just the basics of health. And that's really what I push in this book is I want to draw attention to a lot of the issues and why there are so many issues based on societal expectations, medical industries, and their influence over our own decisions of our own health. And how I actually educate moms in this book about how you can actually see the BS, identify the BS, and how you can walk away from that BS and take your health back into your own hands. Not just for you, but your whole family too. Like, I mean, back in the beginning of our civilizations, moms were the go-to for health, wellness, medical treatments. We can actually take that control back and that power back. We have better intuition over our own health, our kids' own health. Nobody knows our families better than we do. So I really try to push that in this book of going back to the foundations, identifying the triggers. I talk a lot about journaling in my book, taking notes on your own health. And then the second part of my book is I give out a whole bunch of protocols. There's the 5 pillars, I call them, of health, which are, sleep, nutrition, stress management, exercise, and another, I kind of dip into the clean living. So I do have a whole chapter on comparison that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about my explant procedure and how a lot of women go more towards cosmetic procedures now and how bad they are. I talk a lot about that. And, one of my pillars is really just clean living with taking care of yourself naturally, beauty care related. And I really want women to hone in on that because I feel like so many women don't feel worthy and they feel like they're not doing great and they don't look great and they're disheveled. But then there's also the flip side of like, what do they call them? The Chardonnay moms, to where I'm like, that's also not healthy. Like, I'm not against drinking wine, but I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have a whole bottle of wine every night. Probably not the best idea for you, but it's like,
There's a
so
happy medium.
yeah, exactly. Like, let's kind of like,
So
but
true.
yeah, I do. I go through like, there's protocols in there and, I laugh a lot. Like the basis of my book is to not take it too seriously. So I provide a lot of fun analogies. I don't actually drop the F bomb too much in my book. There's maybe once or twice there's profanity, but the majority of my book it's really funny. I use an approach that's pretty different than most serious coaches and everything. I try to make people laugh. To me, laughter is medicine.
It
So
is.
I laugh a lot.
Case in point, you're laughing at yourself right now, so it must be really either it's
It's so
really funny or
true.
you.
But it is. It's so, people, when they come into a session with me, people are very rigid and they're like, oh God, I don't know what to expect. And I immediately try to start off with a joke because you're living a life here. We're not here to go to battle every day. Like
Mm,
trying to be healthy should not be a battle. It should not be so serious because I even know people that are super healthy with all their lifestyle choices, but they don't enjoy anything
mm.
and they get sick. So, there is a balance there. You have to be able to enjoy things. So, I hope people pull that from my book when they're reading that is don't take it too seriously, but also don't drink a whole bottle of Chardonnay every night.
Yeah, don't you can laugh without the bottle of wine.
Exactly. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. And that was one of the things I wanted to touch on, but you answered it because you did. I know that you wrote the book. It's a little bit, I don't know if you would say snarky, but like funny and raw, and you're being real in it, which is really refreshing, right? And I think to your point, we all can take ourselves a little too seriously, and life in general. And what fun is that? And also to your point about laughter, laughter is actually, it takes your body out of fight. Like there is scientific evidence that
Yep.
physiologically in your body, when you laugh, it takes you out of stress, fight or flight mode and puts you into rest and digest mode. So,
Yep.
um, it sounds like we're going to be learning things in your book and also getting some emotional balance as well with the laughter.
I hope so. I certainly hope so. I know sometimes I'll be talking to people and I'll have to explain to them, like, I was being sarcastic. So I hope people read that through my words.
I'm sure they will. I'm very sarcastic too, and I that's nothing better for me than to laugh and make fun of myself. Like I'll make fun of myself first, but I almost also make fun of like the people that I know that can handle it. But I have my middle son is so literal that still, and he's like 19, he's going to be 20 years old, and I'll say stuff sometime and he'll be like, "Oh my gosh, really? I can't believe it." I'm like, "Andrew, do you really think that's real?" Like he just doesn't. To your point, sometimes you do have to bring people along
Yep.
with you if they're not used to
Yep.
it.
Like that was a joke. It's okay to laugh.
So good. Well, you know what? And I love that you're doing that with people that you work with because when it in the health space, it often is like it's just like there's so much stress even leading up, and the question, all like the paperwork and all the things, and then you meet with the person, and it just can be feel very stressful when you're already stressed.
Yeah,
So to be able to bring
exactly.
some lightheartedness and meet people where they are and joke with them is a really refreshing point of view. I'm so glad that you approach it that way.
Yeah, me too. Because I wouldn't be doing this if it was so stiff. I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
do that.
I can tell. I can tell just in the little bit that we've talked. It's so funny because I'm getting really off topic, but Candy, who is my sister-in-law, is the one that introduced us and suggested you coming on. And she was like, "Yeah, I had." Maybe she told you this, or maybe you know this, but she told me that she had an event when she was still living in Arizona, and you and your husband came, and you guys met. I think her and my brother, and you were like, "We need to get to know you. You are our people." So I'm like, "Oh, I definitely want to interview Regina because if she's like Candy and
Oh,
Anthony's
love
people,
it.
she's my people too because they're fabulous." So
Oh yeah,
anyway,
we absolutely love them. Candy's awesome. She came to my rescue with my book and oh my gosh, she's incredible across the board, especially with animals, like, you know, the dog
yeah,
rescues and everything. Like we love her so much.
yeah, she came to the rescue with us with our book too. So big shout out to Candy. I'll have to link her stuff in the show notes.
Yes, please
Um,
do.
yeah, I definitely more people need to know about Candy. um, Is there anything else that I missed? I have a couple rapid fire, just fun questions for you. But is before we do that, anything else that you want to share about the book? We'll definitely talk about where to find it too at the tail end. But anything else that I missed or something important you think that moms need to know or hear?
Don't think so. I think, yeah, I covered everything. There's protocols. Use those protocols. Those protocols are,
That's a
that's
gift.
actually where I started. Yeah, those protocols. And it was funny because the original publisher I worked with wanted me to make it into a sales book. I'm like, no, this needs, the reason I'm writing this is to put this in mom's hands. So I put it in there.
That's
Use
amazing.
it.
That's a gift to have that there and act, because you don't always get that in a book, right? You get just like kind of, but you don't get the
Well,
whole thing.
try to give away as much free stuff as possible because, even with my newsletter, my blog, I'm always giving out like free PDFs, things like that I possibly can just to make it easier for moms. And sometimes I even try to link up the things that I use because if people resonate with my personality and my OCDness, sometimes they'll be like, I want to use what she's using. So I love to put those links in there. So yeah, if people want to go like subscribe to my blog or my newsletter, it's all on the same page, like with my book. It's thereginasteel.com, which Candy also rebranded me. See, there she goes again,
I
being her
know.
awesome
She
self.
just,
Oh my
she just
gosh.
takes over. And it's the Regina, and Steele is Steele. Just so everybody knows when you go. And I'll link all that in the show notes too. And if they want to get directly to your book, it's thereginasteele.com/book, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
That
I'm
is
going to
it.
definitely
Yep.
go check it out. So exciting.
It's a beautiful site. I'm so proud of it. It's beautiful.
I'm sure it is.
Well, and it was funny because before when I was talking to Candy, I had a website I've been running called thementalmom.com. And it was a funny joke name that I made up for myself because I would go mental on research. And she's like, that might hit people in a negative light. Maybe we should try working with
Don't you hate when she points those things out?
And I'm like, oh, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, no, I get that. I've been there with her. So, do you have a book with you on hand? The cover is so cool. Hold it up and show everyone for
I
anyone
did.
that's watching. It's
It's my
so
book
cool.
cover. I'm so excited.
It's
Yay.
it's so
And one
exciting.
of the blurb, it cracked me up because you know how you have to find that fun blurb on your book. I racked my brain so hard with who could I get to write on this book? Who would be great that would be totally fine putting their name on my book. I don't know if anybody's heard of her, but Becky Robinson, shout out to her. She's a comedian and her alter person is called the Entitled Housewife.
Oh,
She is hilarious. So funny, but she did the main blurb on my book. So you gotta check her out. She'll crack you up. If you need some laughter in your life, go follow the Entitled Housewife. She's so funny.
just the name alone. All right, I'm gonna have to link that in the show notes and find her too, because I we all need a laugh. We're just talking about
You
how important
do.
laughter is. So
She will help
amazing.
you.
You've been quite a resource of all kinds of things for us today. I appreciate it.
Yay.
As we wrap up, I have three just rapid fire questions that I ask guests when they come on. Number one, what is your best piece of parenting advice?
Let them be.
Mm.
That is my biggest piece. A lot of people think we're crazy parents. My son is 12. He rode a motorcycle at the age of 4, got in a go kart at the age of 6. He's done so many crazy things, but it has formed him into who he is now. And he's a very strong charactered kid. But my kid, both my daughters are the same way. We kind of let them go with what they wanted to do within a certain structure, obviously, but
Sure.
let them be. Like, don't force them into things because it was something you were good at when you were a kid. I see that a lot, and it kind of stifles who they can be. So let your kids be. Let them be.
That is very good advice. And that applies even as they get older. Because I think even when they're getting out of the house, they're going to college or they're moving on or what, we want them, we look at it in what we did with our life and wanting the same thing, which is not okay because they're not us. Or I find that we want them to we want to live vicariously through them. So we want
Yes.
them to do the things we wish we had done. And that's not okay either because they've got to forge their own path. So that's really great advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Second question, what is your favorite form of, we just talked about how important stress management is and how moms don't make enough time for self-care. So what is your favorite thing to do for stress management and or self-care?
Okay, so this is going to be probably only for my dancer buddies, but dancing.
Mm, dancing
It
is great for
sounds
everybody.
crazy because a lot of people don't think of dancing as relaxing, but if you're a dancer, you love to move your body, it's an expressive way to release tension. So I absolutely love dance. I can always tell when I don't dance for a really long time. I carry it in my body. So dancing is a very fun way to express yourself. Even if you're not a dancer, just go take a ballroom class or something. It's so much fun.
And listen, I say all the time, move your body, change your mood. And so,
Yep.
and Dr. Lynn is a big proponent. Like there have been many times that we've been with all the kids and traveling or just together at the lake, and she'll get everybody up for like a 5 to 10 minute dance party with like 1 to 2 good songs. And none of us,
Yes.
well, actually, her daughter is a dancer. She's going to be dancing at TCU. But aside from that, none of us are dancers. But there's
Yeah.
something to be said for just putting on, like, you can do that anytime, anywhere. If you're in a bad mood or you're having a day, put on a good song, turn it up, and just don't care about what you look like. And
Oh,
you will
yeah.
feel so much better afterwards.
I love it. Yep. Moving around, dancing. Like we have a sign in my kitchen that says, "This kitchen, we dance." That's what we do.
Oh, that's great. Do you know, this is off topic, but I have to share this. My mother, her grandkids adore her. She's so much fun. But when they were little, you know how like she'd take them to the bathroom, and you know, like the stupid paper towel thing, like you can never quite get the sensor right to get the paper towel to come out. It's like, why, like we do these technological things that are supposed to help and save
Yeah.
time, and they end up, she told all the kids that if they wanted the paper towel to come out, they had to dance in front of it. So even my kids in the bathroom wash their hands, and then you'd see them in there like dancing. It
I
was the
love it.
funniest. You just triggered me to think of that, like dancing. It's important.
Dancing.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're feeling down and you're ever in a public restroom, you need to give
That's
someone
right.
else a laugh. Just do a little dance there.
Do a little dance.
Right. Last question. Well, we already have the answer, because I'm going to ask, what are you reading lately, or what's a great book that you'd love to share? So obviously it's yours, but is there
It's
anything
fine.
else that's,
Yes.
there's no
A
other, we're not
lot.
going to suggest other one. Go get Regina's book and don't worry about anything else except the Life After Kids book. Get those two.
Life After Kids. So I actually went off the beaten path. I never read books like this, so it was a cool find in a small bookshop I
Oh.
found. But it's called The Silent Patient. And I can't remember his
Oh.
last name, but it's Michael. It's a long last name, but it's The Silent Patient. It is a trip. It is so good. It's almost like a thriller detective book. It's actually
Oh.
really good. But yeah, it's so
Interesting.
good.
Okay, I will find that, and I will link that as well. So it's not like a self-help or health book. It's a fiction.
Oh no, I decided to take a break from
Yeah.
those.
It's funny. I did too. I was like, I can't, it's all I do is like, I'm so obsessive about health for myself and then for people that I work with. And I was like, I just need some like entertainment, just some reading, like whatever happened to reading for just pure joy of reading. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like so into it right now. I'm like, maybe I really did need this break.
That's great. I usually, every summer I do that. At the start of the summer, I'll go to a bookstore. I used to go with my mom's friend because she's an avid reader. And we would just, like, it was my favorite thing. We would take just an hour in a bookstore and browse, like, all the new releases, the summer reads. And I'd come with a stack of, like, maybe 7 books. And
I
they're my
love
summer
it.
reading books. And I just read through them. And a lot of it's just, anyway, nothing. It's all fiction and it's all lovely. I haven't actually done that yet. I need to go get my books.
Yeah, you should. Plus the smell of a bookstore. There's nothing like the smell
Oh,
of a bookstore. I love the smell of a bookstore.
same. We have one. We moved last year, and I happened to find like 7 minutes from our house. There's this little street with a lot of outdoor shopping, and there's a little bookstore that's fabulous. And so to your point, like I love to go in there and just browse. There's nothing like browsing a bookstore, and for me, there's still nothing like holding an actual book and reading it.
Yes.
Like I don't want the Kindle or any. No offense to anyone, but I
No,
just love a good book.
no.
So
Plus my eyes are so bad anyway. It's better to read better
same.
to read a book.
And you're on the computer all day too, probably, or for a large part of the day with your blogging
Oh
and
yeah.
what you do. It's nice to take a break. Okay, I could talk to you for another hour, and I've already taken too much of your time, and I know you have to go get children. So
I do.
this was such a fun conversation. Candy was right again. She knew we would hit it off.
You know, can she just live with one of us? That'd be great.
I know, right? Exactly.
Tell me what to do.
I'm actually very jealous of my brother because he gets to be married to her.
Right? I know. Gosh. I know. I hope I
Definitely.
get to see her at one of these events soon. So,
I'm sure you will. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a wrap. Thank you. Remember to, once again, I just want to give you guys one more time, and I will link it in the show notes. But Regina Steele, the Regina Steele, STEELE.com. And if you want to go directly to the book, it's /book. And it's the same thing for your Instagram handle, correct? The Regina
yes,
Steele?
ma'am. I
Okay,
try to make it easy. The Regina
excellent.
Steele.
And it sounds like at the website, you go there, you not only find the book, but you're going to find a lot of free resources, PDFs,
Yep.
and a bunch of blog articles. So I'm going to go check it out too. And I got to pre order your book too. It's on Amazon, right? We can
Yay!
go
Yes,
directly to
ma'am.
Amazon too, either way.
Yep.
Excellent.
Same as you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Regina. I really appreciate it. I loved this conversation, and I'm
Yes.
so grateful for the work you're doing for moms. It's just is so important for more moms to know that we have agency over our body, we have agency over our health and over our kids' health. And when we take care of ourselves, remember, we're also teaching our kids how to take care of themselves. It's not selfish. It's actually a
Yep.
learning lesson for them. I think that's a really important point to make as we wrap up. If you want to find the Life After Kids book, once again, it's at www.lifeafterkids.com/book. You can find a lot of free resources on the website as well. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And if you prefer to watch instead of listen, we're on YouTube. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us and being here. I hope you have a great day and an even better week.
Yes. Thank you so much, Brooke.
Thanks for being here.